Some new information regarding the upgrades of Russian T-90M tanks were recently unveiled. The most important part is the part regarding the active protection system, Arena M, and the plans of adopting the system for T-90M tanks. But there is more interesting stuff that was announced. Before we go any further, a quick word from my sponsor, War Thunder, which is also a game I quite like playing myself. War Thunder is a military vehicle combat online game. It is free to play on PC, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Not to mention that it is cross-platform between PC and consoles. The game features an incredible arsenal of more than 1500 historically accurate playable tanks, aircraft, helicopters and ships from 1930s to 1990s. Best thing about the game are its realistic physics and one of the most detailed and most immersive vehicle damage models in gaming. If you use my link to register, you will receive a bonus, a premium vehicle, tank, aircraft or ship, as well as 3-day account boost. The game is completely free, so you can start playing immediately. On September 28, Russian media group TASS interviewed some specialists from the Russian Research Institute of Armored Weapons and Equipment. They said that currently Russian tanks like T-72B3 UBH, T-80BVM and T-90M are on par with foreign main battle tanks and will be until 2025. And honestly, that claim made me chuckle. While T-90M is on par with most NATO tanks, the other tanks aren't even close. The base armor of T-80BVM and T-72B3 is from the 80s, with T-80BVM's turret armor dating all the way back to the 1978. T-72B3 still has a Contact 5 for God's sake. That ERA was made obsolete a while ago, where modern APF-SDS, rockets and ATGMs have been made to counter it. And while Relict does offer good protection to T-80BVM, the fact that base armor is bad really begs the question whether the armor is actually good enough against modern threats. Neither of the two have any form of digital display for the commander, which even the Ukrainians started adopting. Ukrainians. Also, neither of the two have a thermal imager for the commander. Yeah, the guy who is supposed to look for targets is less capable of doing his job than the gunner. So, T-80BVM and T-72B3 UBH are not on par with foreign tanks at all. They would have been 20 years ago. T-90M, as I said, is actually on par with the best foreign tanks, for the most part. You see, what they are planning to do starting from 2025 is to install Arena M hard kill active protection system. Arena M is a further improvement of Arena E active protection system, which was developed in the 90s. Arena M ditched the bulky radar on the top and can be mounted on any Russian tank without many changes, since it can be mounted instead of the side ERA on the turret. And the system has been showcased multiple times on the T-72 tanks. But that is something that puts the best NATO tanks apart from T-90M. Currently, US and Germany are getting trophy system for their M1A2 and Leopard 2A7 tanks. And by 2025, they could already be done. That means that T-90M will only start receiving a hard kill active protection system after the best NATO tanks have mostly received it. Another worrying announcement is the fact that it will take until 2027 to upgrade 400 T-90 tanks to T-90M standard. That means it will take them 7 years to upgrade their T-90 tanks. At that time, M1A2D or M1A2 SEP V4 is already planned to be introduced. That would make Russia lag behind NATO immensely, not to mention that Germany has already adopted new DM73 APF-SDS projectile for their Leopard 2A7V tanks, and according to new information, they have started developing an even better projectile, so by that time it might be even adopted. One redeeming factor for T-90M though is the fact that the upgrade plans also include installing the ERA that is currently present on T-14 Armata, which should increase the tank's protection. But for now, those are only proposed upgrades, and knowing Russia, it ain't gonna happen, at least not starting from 2025. We will probably see T-90M with those upgrades in around 10 years. And who knows what they are going to do with T-14. There are no news about the tank, so it's probably still undergoing trials and changes. Until T-14 is adopted into serial production, Russia will lag behind the West, just as it is right now. Their most numerous tank, T-72B3, simply cannot be compared to M1A2C and Leopard 2A7V. Not even close. Same goes for T-80BVM. One problem with the upgrade plans for T-90M though is the fact that there is no mention to the improvements in firepower. Their current best projectile, Svinets 2, has reached the peak performance for the length that can fit the tank, and it's almost on par with the German DM63. But the current upgrade plan has no mention of improving the gun or the autoloader. The best option would be to replace the 125mm 2A46M5 with a 125mm 2A82 currently present on T14. Since the gun is 56 calibers long compared to 48 calibers of 2A46M5, that means that the gun is 1 meter longer, which means greater velocity and better penetration when firing same projectiles. Not to mention that the gun was originally developed to replace the 2A46 series of guns that have been used on Russian tanks. Breaking news! While I was editing this video, a new announcement was made. The proposed upgrades for T-72B3 and T-80 BVM now include the Arena M system that was proposed for T-90M. Not only that, they actually proposed to upgrade T-72B3 UBH with the Relict. And on top of that, they proposed for all of the tanks to receive the Sochek anti-mine protection system. But those upgrades have just been proposed. Keep in mind that that does not mean that that is actually going to happen. I mean, it would be nice, but it's Russian Ministry of Defense that gets a vote on that one, so it all depends if they are willing to fund all of that.
Don't forget to check out War Thunder, where you can take control of many land, air or naval vehicles. Use the link from the description to get a premium vehicle and a 3-day account boost when you register. Remember, the game is completely free for PC, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Just download and play.
It is uncertain what the future will bring, but one thing is certain: Russian T-80 BVM and T-72B3 UBH are not on par with the best NATO tanks, while T-90M is pretty close. But the fact that it will receive a hard-kill active protection system much later than Abrams and Leopard puts it behind until it actually does. And the lack of plans for firepower upgrade is also worrying. But those plans are only proposed. Who knows what the future will bring? There is a lot of potential for upgrades on those tanks, and the new proposed upgrades, especially for T-72B3, would put all of their tanks on par with the best in the world. But the problem is that T-14 still needs funding, and if they fund the upgrades for existing tanks, they are further postponing the introduction of T-14. So, an important decision has to be made. That's it, thanks for watching. If you like my videos, you can support me on Patreon. And if you can't, leave a like on the video and subscribe if you're new. And I'll see you all in the next video. Have a nice day.